Welcome back to Life is Art, episode 4. In this episode, I'm going to talk about when and why I started my spiritual journey. So, I started my spiritual journey in 2000, I'm going to say 2017. This was right after I gave birth to my son. So, I gave birth to my son November 2016. And when I found out that I was pregnant, I knew that I needed to change certain ways, right? The thing, like, I didn't start changing my certain ways until after I gave birth to him. So that's like really when it started happening. Um, okay, so I knew I needed to change certain ways, and I also wanted to think beyond religion, because I believe it was the first episode or the introduction I was saying that I grew up in a religious home. Okay, that's all I knew then. But I really couldn't get into it like how others I knew got into it. It was like, it was loopholes. You know what I'm saying? It really didn't make any sense to me. I was 23. I had turned 23 after I had my son. Well, before I had him, because his birthday is like a month after mine. So, 23, that is when I started my spiritual journey. I'm currently 32. Okay. So, I say it's been uh going on 9 years. Anyways, when I started to look into, and what was it? I started to look into African spirituality. Okay. Then I started, because it was all like when everybody was like talking about Illuminati this, Illuminati that. That's how it all started. Then I started diving deep into African spirituality. Then I started learning the roots of my culture. So that's when I stopped eating meat. I stopped eating meat right after my grandma passed. She passed in August 2017. And my baby, I think he was about 9 months, 8 or 9 months. And that's when it all happened for real. Because before, dang, that is when it happened. Right after she passed, that's when I started making like real life changes. Because before I stopped eating meat, I tried, but it didn't happen until she passed. And that's what it was. Like, I just stopped the cold turkey, and it was cool because I really didn't have no cravings for it. It was just, the seasonings, because ain't nobody going to eat meat without seasoning unless you're that person. So that's what I did. And I started, looking up third eye activations and things like that. And I started sun gazing around that time as well. So I can literally look at the sun and I won't squint. I can literally have my eyes open looking at it, even at the brightest time it's out. You just have to like take your time with it. Don't rush. You look at the rays around the sun before you actually stare at the sun. Like you got to take your time, cuz you got to take your time. And also it's about what you eat as well. Like you can't stuff your body with junk food and things like that. But anyways, that's when I started to get into the cards, tarot cards. And I was exercising my intuition and, connecting with my ancestors. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't a prayer. Back then, I didn't know how to pray. And what I've learned is it's no such thing about you don't know how to pray. All you have to do is talk. And I've learned that you are really praying to yourself, to your higher self. And your higher self is your godlike energy. You know what I'm saying? It's your consciousness. Because we do have an inner guide, okay? An inner God within us. So, so yeah, I started doing tarot and it was fun. You know what I'm saying? Just don't go into tarot thinking that you got it all, because you really have to be connected with source and you have to really listen to your inner guide. You can't just go out here just be saying stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like you really have to be an observer. Observe everything, the way you feel, how you feel, what you feel. I think I said that already. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an internal thing, especially when you read for people. It's important. Some people are here doing it as a trend, and that's not good because you're stepping into something that you don't understand. And then when you start seeing things and hearing things, and when I say hearing things, I'm not talking about like it's just the inner voice inside of you. And I mean, you could tap into your gifts, and that can scare a motherfucker too because they're not actually ready. You know what I'm saying? They forcing it. But anyways, I started doing that, and it was cool. It was cool. You do have to. I worked on my shadow self, just like, childhood traumas. You know what I'm saying? The way your parents, how your parents were when you were growing up. It could be like if your mom was a single mom, she was always in her masculine energy, things like that. Like I mastered that actually. I'm still working on it, but I mastered it, period. So I exercised my feminine energy because I realized that I was always in my masculine energy, especially in relationships, and that is not good. Because if it's a male, if you're a woman and with a man, we both have feminine and masculine energy. However, when you're in a relationship, the man masculine, the women feminine. So you put that together and you work together as that. So it's very important to master both within yourself. So when you get with the other opposite, you know, person, the opposite sex, then it will, intertwine good, and it will be like smooth. Okay, if you know what I mean. So I was working on that. I was also meditating. I started meditating, which it's not hard to do. And I'm naturally a loner. I never be around big crowds. And I always had like one or two friends around. And I also like my own company. So you have to learn to love your own company without having to be around other people. You know what I'm saying? Get to know yourself more, because that's how you really learn yourself. And then during that process of being alone, not lonely, but alone with yourself, you will start learning more about you. You know what I'm saying? What you really like, not the person other people see you as, like growing up during all the distractions that's around you. When you do not have distractions around you, that is your true self. Learn to be who you are, your authentic self, whether even if people don't like it or not. Okay? You always operate in your authentic self. That's how you grow. Okay? So, as I was doing all of that, that's when I started seeing, that's when I started, not having people around me. And some certain people started fading away. And it's because when you're growing spiritually, mentally, things that you're not, the level, the vibration that you were operating on has rise, and what does not serves you anymore, as you rise, what no longer serves you anymore will fade away, and you will be like, damn, what the hell happened? Like, I ain't got nobody. But that's okay though, because you're learning yourself. You will start meeting people that's on the same mental level as you. That's what you need. And sometimes it is a lonely path, but that's okay as long as you're okay with being with yourself. You have to be okay with being with yourself. Period. Okay. So, and also when you step into that, you will start to see people for who they are. So don't take it personal. Never take that personal. Okay, everything is going to be exposed to you on your journey. So just observe. Okay, do not operate in ego. Just observe people, places, and things. Okay, that's what I've learned. And anyways, I don't let me okay, so I was doing tarot for like, I don't know, when you step into it, things start coming up like in your past or your childhood traumas and things like that, and you really have to work on that, because it will like throw you back a little bit, especially the things that you need to learn, to continue on your path for you to grow. Okay, now some things happened in my life to where I stopped doing tarot. This was back in 2022. Now, in my last episode, I was talking about how I looked at a tarot reading. I don't know. I don't know if there was I don't know what the fuck that whole situation. That year was something else. Like, I started seeing people for who they really are. And when I say people, I was only around family members. Okay. And I started seeing shit that I knew. I just started seeing shit that I knew. It was just confirmation was coming up. And, that's what made me pull back my energy from certain people. Okay. And when I did that around that time, I guess they took offense to that, which I don't understand why, because if I'm pulling myself back, that means I'm working on myself. It's nothing personal. But I guess they took it personal and wanted to know every move I make, every step I make, what I'm doing in my life, which is my personal business. But I guess they want to make it their business because they want to throw around the family word. But anyways, during that time, I pull my energy back. You know what I'm saying? I'm pouring into myself. I'm relearning myself. Oh, because during that time, I'm over here stuttering, but during that time, I don't know, it was just some weird shit. But like I said in the last episode, if you want me to get into that, I I will most definitely take time and tell that story. So this is the times when I wish my grandma was still living, because I don't think I would have been had going through that situation if they were. But hey, it is what it is. They're still with me till this day, and I'm grateful. My divine is. But anyways, so during that time in 2022, I had stopped doing tarot, and it was for up until I stopped from 2022 till up till this year. No, last year, August. Oh my gosh. Last year, August. Wow. It's been that long. Anyways, I'm going to end it after this though. When I started back tarot, it was last August 2025 when I found out that my childhood friend transitioned. I really don't know what really happened, but anyways, what made it so weird was because during that time, like a week before I found out what was going on, I was like, how is he? Like, I want to know what he doing. So I'm trying to, get in contact with him. And my sister was talking to somebody that she was communicating with somebody that actually had access to him. And I'm like, was telling her to, tell him to get his contact information. Like, I'm trying to see what's up. Like, I'm trying to see how he doing. And the weirdest thing is, I say a few days later, almost up into a week, my other sister sent me a photo from the news with his face on it. And I'm like, what? I was just quiet. I didn't know what to think. And I'm like, I was sitting here, get back in touch with him. And you telling me a few days later, or like almost a week later, he gone? That's weird as fuck to me. That's weird as fuck. I'm like, I don't even know what really to say. And that right there, oh, that right there, I ran right back to tarot. Literally. I don't know if it was his energy, because I don't even think he didn't even knew I was into that. And when people transition, it's different than what you see in the physical. Because I feel like when you transition back over to home, our original home, which is the spirit realm, you see everything. You know the whole truth of everything. You know what I'm saying? It's different than the physical. And even when you tap into the spirit realm, you see truth. You see truth. And I feel by him transitioning, he sees me and what I do, and that I felt like that pushed me back to tarot. You know what I'm saying? Like that pushed me back. So I'm back into it and I love it. Like I don't even know why the hell I even stopped because during 2022, yeah, I went through some bullshit, but I was still, flipping my cards, but it was mainly for me. I was flipping cards for myself. I wasn't flipping them for anybody else. And when I the story that I told y'all, if y'all wanted to hear it, it had to do with my child, which I got him. Um, and that's when I stopped because I heard a reading. I heard a reading, and the reading that I heard, I'm like, okay, well, that's not for me. Some of the shit sounded, resonated. But then when she said something about, yeah, they trying to take your child and da 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 da, and remind you, I was only fucking with family. Um, I heard that, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not, you know what I'm saying? That's not my part. That's not me. That's not my story. And it was either a few days later or a week later, that shit actually fucking happened. And you know what? That the day before it happened, I felt like I should have had went to go get him. And I'm talking about my child. Because the next day I was going to go get him from my peoples. And I couldn't. They were hiding and shit. Didn't want to fucking tell me what was going to fuck on. And then told me I couldn't get him because they uh filed emergency, what's that called? Emergency. Y'all, I don't even know why it won't pop up on my mind. It's right there too. Emergency custody. That's what it is. There we go. They was hiding. They wouldn't answer their phone. Wouldn't know the house. Like, oh my gosh. If y'all want to hear that, just let me know. I get into that. Like I'm not even hurt about that. To not speak about it, I can speak about it. It happened in 2022 for a few months, and I got them back because I already knew. And I could talk about how I also got through it because at the end of the day, I already knew I was gonna get him back because it was nothing true about what they were saying. So, anyways, yeah. So how I got back to tarot is when my childhood friend transitioned. Like I met him. I think I was 11, he was 12, and he stayed right around the corner from me. We hung out day, every freaking day. That was my ninja. But then we like when we got in our 20s, that's when, life started parting. Because I remember when I got pregnant, that's when we really, like, life, like, really separated us or whatnot. Until, last year, August, that's when the shit happened. When he transitioned, and that right there brought me back to tarot. So I'm happy it did because since I've started my spiritual journey and being in tarot, without it, it's just like I just feel lost without it. Honestly, I ain't even gonna hold you. But at the end of the day, it's not even about the cards because I have my intuition. So it's not like I need the cards. The cards is just for confirmation. I guess I don't know. The cards is just a tool, but as long as you have discernment and your intuition, you're good. So yeah, I'm into crystals and everything. Sage, I gotta burn my incense. So yeah, that's when and how I got into tarot and why I got back on tarot. Cause baby, the same day I said, "Oh hell no, what the fuck is going on?" Because this shit is weird. I end up trying to look for him out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, let me see what's up with him. Next thing you know, he gone. What? Some weird shit. It's a lot of weird shit that was going on in my life that that's why I separated myself from certain people. So yeah. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for listening to me. Stay tuned for the next episode of Life is Art, because life is art. Without art, what is life? All right, y'all. Peace.